Hi, this is Dave Ramaswamy with Allied Venture. We are a private equity and investment advisory firm based in Montevideo, Uruguay, on the continent of South America. Today, I want to talk about land investment in South America and why that's a very attractive proposition for Indian investors. India today has a population of 1.1 billion people, which is projected to increase to 1.6 billion in the next 40 years. So, a big concern for the government is the issue of food security. For Indian food retail companies, they want to have access to the raw material or want to have a farm to fork strategy. If you look at the situation in India, the land for farming is shrinking. The average farm size is 3 to 4 acres today and is going down. Plus, the land costs are very high. In some parts of the Punjab and other key agricultural regions, it reaches up to $20,000 an acre. Add to that, you have falling groundwater levels from excessive pumping over the last 60 years. So the solution is to look for land overseas. We believe South America offers a very attractive opportunity and is worthy of consideration. South America has been feeding the world for decades, if not centuries. Large agribusiness groups and fortunes operate here, and they have been very successful in feeding the world. We can think of it as agricultural outsourcing. Just like India and software outsourcing and China and hardware outsourcing, we believe South America offers the scope for agricultural outsourcing. The cost of land is relatively low, the productivity is very high, and the operating margins are good and sustainable. So you have high ROI with moderate to low risk. Here's a map of the continent. The biggest country is, of course, Brazil, which is 2.5 times the size of India, right here. And then you have Argentina, the second biggest country, which is almost the size of India. And then you have the country of Uruguay here and Paraguay. These are all booming agricultural regions. The population of Brazil is just 1/6 of that of India, even though it's 2.5 times as big. And the population of Argentina is just equal to 3 Indian cities, Delhi, Mumbai, and Calcutta. So both these countries have large land parcels available, and the country of Uruguay is the size of the state of Karnataka, with half the population of Bangalore. If you look at the vegetation map, the dark green areas show the forest regions, so this is the Amazon rainforest, and the light green areas are the farm and prairie grassland regions. So the Argentine Pampas, southwest Brazil, and now northern northeastern Brazil is coming under farming, and they're extremely fertile and verdant. Mercosur, which is the trade bloc comprising of Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, currently account for 50% of world soybean production and 56% of world soybean exports. The U.S. Department of Agriculture projects in the next 10 years that the Mercosur countries, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, will account for 80% of world soybean exports as the production in the US and Canada stagnates. What are the reasons for great farming in South America? The first and foremost is excellent weather. These countries fall under the tropical, subtropical, and temperate latitudes, and they have rainfall throughout the year. So it's not like in India where the monsoon dumps rain over 2 months. So moderate rainfall spread over a larger duration is ideal for agriculture. And these countries are not under any extreme climatic influences like cyclones, hurricanes, tornadoes. So you have all kinds of crops which are grown here, including maize, soy, wheat, and rice, besides horticulture and floriculture crops. The farmland here is extremely green and verdant. Agriculture requires no pump sets or any kind of irrigation equipment, since there's plenty of rain and consequently groundwater. These regions are a freshwater paradise. This is a satellite image of the Rio Plata, which is the river bisecting Uruguay and Argentina. And if you look at the total annual renewable water resources per capita, cubic metric tons per capita, th these countries have 10 to 30 times as much water per capita as does India. The agricultural regions are fed by a diverse network of rivers, streams, and lakes. Plus, the technology used in agriculture in these regions is extremely modern, comparable to what exists in the US and Canada. Besides technology, they have very modern ports and logistics facilities, along with a qualified pool of agronomists and agricultural engineers. Here's a slide showing the productivity per acre of soy. If you compare Brazil, Argentina, they hold up pretty well with the US, and Uruguay is catching up fast since it was not traditionally a soy country, but now it's like catching up fast to Brazilian, Argentine levels. And the level of productivity is 3 times as much as India, which is 400 kilograms per acre, and these countries have 1.2 tons per acre. If you look at the prices for farmland, the median prices in Brazil, Argentina are probably half of that what exists in the US and Australia. And if you look at Uruguay and Paraguay, it's even lower. So the premium farmland in Uruguay goes for about $2,250 an acre to $2,500 an acre. This is some of the most fertile farmland in the world. So the possibilities are essentially to do corporate farming and or invest in agro-processing facilities and industries. Additionally, there's a possibility for biofuels. Of course, palm oil and palm biodiesel is a possibility, along with jatropha-based biodiesel and ethanol from sugarcane and sweet sorghum. The last year, of course, was a big financial crisis and collapse in all kinds of asset classes, and land prices have not been an exception. But if you look at land prices comparable to other asset classes, they've fallen the least, because the demand for food in the world has not really slowed down with increasing world population and also increasing population in India and people getting richer. So we believe 2009 is a very good time to invest in farmland and get into the agro sector in South America. If you look at the business context, these countries allow free inflow of capital and free repatriation of capital. The laws are very favorable to investors, and there's no really limits on purchase of agricultural land by foreigners. The governments in these regions are democratic and observe the rule of law. It's fairly transparent in the agricultural space. Plus, there's a very favorable view of India in these countries, which is a big plus. Additionally, there's a cultural compatibility. The countries here believe in families, put great emphasis on relationships, and there's a very spiritual connection to the land, just like in India. Another big advantage is there are no really wars or terror events, religious, racial, or ethnic conflicts in these regions. It's a very safe place for agriculture. No land squatters and any of those problems either. This is a slide which compares the risks overall based on some indicators developed by various international organizations. This is a democracy index, a corruption index by Transparency International, the United Nations Human Development Index, the literacy rate, and the environmental sustainability index. If you look across all these factors, Uruguay as a country comes out on top, and we feel it's a very good entry point for Indian investors. Who else is investing in land? The billionaire financier George Soros, Bill Gates, various sheikhs from the Middle East, Carlos Slim, the richest man in South America, and the Chinese Communist Party through its various state-owned entities. Why work with us, Allied Venture? We have a good knowledge of South America, along with a knowledge of farming and agribusiness. Our partners based in Uruguay know Uruguay, of course, and we act as investment advisors, working on behalf of our clients, not as real estate agents. So we work on your behalf. We grew up in this business. and we want to help you grow too.